existing neighborhood, and put the Dodger baseball field there. And then these people have nowhere to go.
So taking that experience, that example is people in City Hall, bankers, investors have a vision of what a good neighborhood is, or what it should be. Either downtown development or sports complex development, someone's got to go.
It's happening now, right over here on the wharf as we speak. Golden State Warriors coming back to San Francisco. Is that a good thing?
No.
You kept moving around this area.
If we had a table.
Yeah, I wanted to add in because I feel like we can't have a conversation about you know, things that happened in the 40s, especially to different demographic groups, without mentioning what happened to the Japanese Americans, because they also fought very hard during the 40s and were
Interment. And I appreciate you bringing that. We focused on the three families, but what's beautiful about this is that we can take all these experiences and add to it, you know? Because part of what we want to do with this series too is be able to, now you got curriculum, you got lessons plans that you can build off, make better, make it pop. So when you're in your community, these are the things that it's going to resonate and really inspire people. So let's go. Yeah.
What is that word called when the government want to build a freeway? They ask you to move, they can remove you by
Eminent
paying.
domain.
What? We don't hear that word no more, but it seems like it's going on. We don't hear eminent domain in the city.
So let's talk. We're going to get into eminent domain, but I think I heard you say freeway. Did you say?
Yeah, they'll say it for freeways or whatever.
So let's continue, right? The government buys your house and the buildings around it. But since you live in an African American neighborhood, the values are set really low. Alright? So we're going to take your house and we'll put up apartment buildings and we're going to pay you for it.
They're condominiums now.
Yeah, I just give you one because, you know, it's kind of low. So it's not enough, right? It's not enough to buy another house. So where are you going? You're renting. You're going to be renting an apartment down the street. And since a new development will take years, they put a parking lot in the meantime. Does this resonate with anybody? Does this strike you as familiar with what happened in Fillmore, Western Addition? So why a parking lot? Around the same time as urban renewal, the federal government began spending millions of dollars to build the interstate highway system. The 280, the 101, all these that bring workers to in and out of the city. At the same time, city planners lobbied to get a lot of money to link the new suburbs to the city. How's my family going to get to work? How are you going to get to work? So the federal money for the highway construction was subsidizing growth in Middletown. And car companies took advantage by buying up all the trolley lines around the country and dismantling them. So suburbanites would be forced to buy a car. So we're going to take down our trolley lines. I'm never going to play them at Monopoly. They got it down. So the displacement was, so let's hear a little bit about African Americans. Hear from our daughter.
Okay.
So what was your experience during that time?
The governor showed up at our door, or the government showed up at our door and told us that they have to demolish our home. They promised to buy us out. They gave us a lot less than we believe our house is worth. Now we are renting a small apartment down the street.
Where do you think these highways are being built?
Right through the neighborhood.
From the suburbs to downtown, right through your neighborhoods. Many planners deliberately targeted low-income and people of color communities to tear down huge numbers of homes, businesses, churches, community institutions for the highways. They thought these communities were expendable. The communities didn't have as much political power to stop them as because there's examples where other neighborhoods did stop. The displacement was huge. In the 50s and the 60s, nationwide, urban renewal and highway construction displaced over 700,000 families. Over half were people of color. And most of them had incomes low enough to qualify for public housing. But less than half of the displaced people and businesses received any monies to relocate. And most of those who did ended up with worse housing. So you're renting now, you no longer own a home. What does this mean for your family and community? What does this mean for their family and community?
They don't have great stores, they don't have great things.
They don't have
the
good
money.
schools.
Nobody's gonna come out there and spend anything, because they don't have development, and they don't really great stuff.
Step away from homelessness, homeless families.
It's not Rodeo Drive. How about that?
We can't raise ourselves up because we only have an apartment that we don't own, we rent, we have no equity, we have no way to leverage ourselves up.
Kids go to
Start our
juvenile
own
prison
business,
because you
finance
out there with
college,
them.
anything like that.
No parenting.
The schools aren't good in the inner city.
No equity.
Separation of family, right?
During this period of time, coincidentally, you're talking about mass transit, freeways, highways being built across the country and infrastructure in the United States, per se. That was also during that period of time, the Cold War. We had a tremendous urgency to connect the United States because of our necessity about Russia itself and that particular threat. Cuba had stepped in on our southern borders, and we were very concerned. So what we did a lot of was build a structure that our military troops could move quickly back and forth, north, south, east, and west, hence the development of the superhighways, such as you're talking about.
So when this continue talking about the impacts of the highways on our communities. So African American family has to rent now. Will their kids own a home?
Will they get a job making that superhighway?
Do you have a house to pass on to your kids as inheritance? So their abilities to be homeowners is greatly reduced. Will you have a lot of savings?
No.
Your home is your major source of wealth and savings. You talked about. How does this affect your credit? You don't get a loan because you got no collateral for a loan. If most people around you have also lost their homes, what does this do to the stability of your community? Social instability of moving from rental to rental, you lose your support network. Who can relate with that? How many people have been evicted from their homes? How many people have to leave their homes because of horrible conditions? Because you got a bad owner?
Can I put Roylene on the spot? She actually lived through the Fillmore.
Yeah, I grew up in the Fillmore, and I'm from Arkansas. My family moved to the Fillmore like in 1956, okay? I lived there, I went to Ben Franklin Junior High, and then my family was paid to move out of their home, to move into some buildings they were just building over on Steiner Street. And now they turned our neighborhood into like doctors' offices, you know? They bought the people out and built doctors' offices. And the whole neighborhood's changed. And there's no blacks there anymore. They pushed them back. So that's the neighborhood I grew up in.
Where did your peoples go? Where did your neighbors?
They went out to buy the Hunters Point, Double Rock, Tenderloin. You know, they put them in worse condition.
Richmond, they had
So continue. Thank you so much and please.